Welcome into Minnesota Vikings Now. I am Tom Downey, here with a look at some trade ideas involving the Minnesota Vikings. Bleacher Report put out a list of one trade each NFL team should make, and they went very heavy with potential trades involving the Minnesota Vikings as it relates to an edge rusher. They had 3 different trades involving Minnesota, each of them getting a new pass rusher to the Vikings. One of them involved Von Miller. One involved D. Ford. The other involved Jerry Hughes. Let's go through each of these potential trade ideas and break them down, even though BR apparently forgot about the signing of Everson Griffen. Anyway, first up is the Von Miller one. And it's Von Miller. I get it. The Bleacher Report said day 2 draft pick, so I'll assume more of a round 2 selection for Von Miller. I think the value actually is about right for a player of Miller's caliber. Very expensive, $17.5 million this year. That is a potential issue for the Vikings. And there's also this part as it relates to Minnesota and Von Miller. Denver's trying to win games right now. Their head coach, Vic Fangio, he's fighting for his job. Now, maybe mid-season, if Everson Griffen's not working out, maybe Miller could potentially make some sense there. But I think you're asking for a little bit too much from Denver's side to move on from Miller, a huge part of that franchise short-term, and I still think maybe long-term as well, even though he does have 1 year left on his deal. Of course, a franchise icon for a team still trying to win games. Next up is the Jerry Hughes trade idea. The Vikings give a 5th-round pick to the Buffalo Bills. Value, price seems about right. Now, the Bills have, I think, been impressed by the play of other edge rushers like Gregory Rousseau. Hughes has been, well, what he's been the past couple seasons, a steady, reliable, but still somewhat limited impact player as it relates to a lot of sacks. He put up less than 5 each of the past 2 seasons. Last year of his contract, not that expensive, a fraction of the cost compared to Von Miller, also from the trade value they have to give up to get him, $6.1 million. If the Vikings do one other edge, which I'm not sure they need, as we'll go more in depth to here in a second, maybe Hughes could make some sense for Buffalo. Their third idea, the D. Ford trade idea. A day 2 draft pick for Ford, even though he's very cheap, $4 million this year, a massive overpay. Now look, we see the outside linebacker. He'd be a defensive end in the Vikings scheme, but edge rusher's the common theme here. This makes no sense for Minnesota. D. Ford's not worth a 2nd-round pick. His medical's been a major problem. He played in 1 game last year. The Niners have been disappointed by his level of performance with the contract they gave him. They'd love to move D. Ford. They're not going to get a 2nd-round pick back for him. That's a massive, massive overpay. Now, the big elephant in the room from this article was the addition of Everson Griffen. Danielle Hunter, Griffen, and depth guys in Stephen Weatherly, Jalen Holmes, Patrick Jones, DJ Wonham, and maybe Kenny Willekes. That's enough depth for Minnesota. Pre-Everson Griffen trade, I would have been intrigued by the Jerry Hughes potential outcome. Right now, I think they can afford to wait. So, of the 3 guys, who are you trading for? And I'll give you an out. If you don't want any of them, you think the Vikings are just fine at edge rusher, you can type in N. But if you want Von Miller, type in M. If you want D. Ford, type in F. If you want Jerry Hughes, type in H.